Jim Jordan is joining us now from Washington, D.C. Hello, Jim. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Glenn. How are you doing today?
I'm actually kind of positive today. I think you are doing a great job and a great service. I think there are several of you now in Congress that I actually trust and believe you're actually going to do something. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks for all you've been doing to get the word out to the American people.
So Jim, tell me, this was incredible yesterday. First of all, you gave your opening dialogue on a monologue on what you were going to see, and then the Democrats came out and they said what you're going to see are lies, half-truths, and fantasies. I've never seen anything like that, especially when you are presenting whistleblowers.
Yeah. And these guys are good men who love this country and value the Constitution, the First Amendment. But for guys like them, and these guys and others like them, we wouldn't know about what they did with parents at school board meetings. We wouldn't know about what they're doing to pro-lifers praying at clinics. We wouldn't know about that, Catholics attending Mass, that the Richmond field office viewed them as radical, traditional Catholic extreme. We wouldn't know about those things but for guys like this. And the fact that they were willing to come forward shows just what good people they are and their commitment to the Constitution and to the oath they took. But then what they've faced, the retaliation. I mean, they literally tried to crush these guys, particularly Mr. O'Boyle and Mr. Friend. It's so
crazy.
Sad. Yeah, it's so sad. But for them, we wouldn't know the things we know and wouldn't be able to be in a position to make the case for, going after these agencies in the appropriations process, which is what we have to do.
So I did a special last night on the reckoning of the Biden crime family, and one of our listeners wrote in and wanted me to ask you today, is there a way to help these whistleblowers? I'm concerned for them and their families.
Yeah, you can. They have. They can receive it's not GoFundMe, but there's ways, and I should have that information.
Okay, I'll get it from your office and we'll share it.
Yeah, we will try to get that. Yeah.
What is the next step here? Because we had the dossier come out. Not the Steele dossier, but the report that came out. The Durham Report. Thank you. We had the Durham Report come out, and the media is blind. And to me, this shows how deeply in trouble this nation is. You have intelligence, CIA, FBI, justice, the White House, Congress, all of it dirty, like majorly dirty.
Well, I don't think it's funny how the good Lord works, because the same week we get the Durham Report, we just happen to have scheduled this hearing where we have these whistleblowers coming forward. So understand the Durham Report. He said as clearly and as straightforward as you could say that the FBI, I think the best line was, the FBI failed in its fundamental mission of fidelity to the law.
Correct.
They didn't follow the law. There was no evidence, no probable cause, no predicate whatsoever to launch this investigation. They did it anyway. They did it based on a fake document, a document they knew was false, the dossier they knew was false at the time they used it to go to the court to get the warrant to spy on a presidential campaign. That's terrible. They put the country through all 3 years of craziness. That's terrible. But worse than that is what's happening today, because today it's not just limited to a presidential campaign. Correct. It's the American people, and it's what I just said. It's if you're a pro-life Catholic, they view you as radical. I mean, if you're a parent speaking up for your kid, they view you as a terrorist. I mean, it's like, you got to be kidding me. So that's what's. But I just found it interesting that those two big pieces of information came out in the same week, just underscoring how, in your words, Glenn, how dire the situation, how real the situation actually is.
So Jonathan Turley had an op-ed out. I just read it this morning, how Congress could have the final say on the Russian collusion scandal. In the Durham Report, it shows that people like, what's his name, Elias, for the...
Mark Elias.
Yeah, Mark Elias from the DNC, that he would not participate, wouldn't talk, didn't give anything. And Turley is saying, why don't you start putting the screws to these guys and offer immunity? Now, I don't think there's a chance that Mark Elias is going to turn on anybody. But it's worth a try, isn't it?
Well, that's interesting. But he is Mr. Democrat elect.
No.
He's the guy. He's
I know.
the man in that whole area. So I don't know. But that's an interesting strategy. I haven't read Turley's piece. I really respect Professor Turley,
so
and I'll read that. But I don't know. I'll have to give that some thought. But I do think we should be in our investigative work, our oversight work. We should be focused on getting every single fact and getting that information, the truth, to the American people. Because if you don't have all the truth on the table and do our constitutional duty of oversight, then you're not in a position to make the case, which we're going to have to make, which we have to do.
Well,
when it comes to appropriating money, we're going to have to change how that's done. We're going to have to limit funds. We're going to have to say you can't use funds for certain things. We're going to have to tell the FBI, ain't no way you're going to get a new headquarters worth, I forget how many $100 million. Like, well, are you kidding me? So there's those kind of things, but you make the case when you show what's been going on.
So when you're going through all of this, you're not getting the documents. I mean, they're not. Christopher Wray the other day was just unbelievable to watch. Well, I can't talk about that document. What do you mean you sent a letter to us? We asked for the document. You're not getting anyone in Congress getting the documents that you're demanding. You have oversight, and they seem to feel like they have oversight over you.
Yeah. So two quick points. One, you're exactly right. When the founders put this great nation together, 3 separate and equal branches of government, if there was one branch that was supposed to be more equal than the others, it was supposed to be the legislative branch, and in particular, the House of Representatives, because that's the body closest to the American people. Every 2 years, American people get a chance to throw us out. That is a good thing. That is a healthy thing. That's why the founders said that's the body where all the taxing and spending bills have to originate. So we're supposed to be able to tell the executive branch, hey, we need information to do our job when it comes to legislating and appropriating. So give us the darn information. Second, when we've had these struggles, sometimes you go to court. We went to court for a witness we wanted to get in the whole Alvin Bragg crazy situation up in New York. And the court ruled in our favor. And we had Mr. Pomerantz in for a deposition just last week. So sometimes you have to go to the courts to get what you need. So we're going to continue to press, whether it's subpoenas, what have you, for documents or for people to come in for an interview. We're going to continue to press there. But we have to, in the end, the only thing that gets people's attention, the only thing that gets their attention is the money. You got to go after the money. It's that simple. And we're going to have to do that here in the next couple of months as we go through appropriating for for these agencies in the federal government.
Well, I mean, you can do that even if they don't pass a budget. Does Congress have control of the purse strings still?
We sure do. But it's going to be a fight with the Senate. It's going to be a fight with the White House. But you know what? When you got an FBI who's retaliating against good guys like Garrett O'Boyle, Marcus Allen, and Steve Friend, I think it's worth the fight. Yeah,
and I think you would have the American people squarely behind you. I think Congress, with the people like me, I don't care for the Republican Party, but they're better than the Democrats. But I don't want to give a dime. I'd give a dime directly to a candidate, but not to the Republican Party. Yeah. People like me are starting to see, wait a minute, something is different. And there's just a few of you guys now that are standing up. And I have to say, I'm shocked at McCarthy. I did not think he would have the spine. I'd like to see that continue, but he seems to be doing a lot of good things, and his poll numbers are going up.
Yeah, no, Glenn, I talk about this all the time, but we make this job too complicated. What did you tell the people you were going to do when you put your name on the ballot and ran for the job? You went out. If you get elected, if they put you in the job, go do what you said. And Kevin McCarthy is doing that. I think our team is doing that. And the most important thing is, as you just said, we got to continue to do that. We got to continue to do that because that's our mission. Do what you told the American people you were going to do.
Okay, so there's one thing that concerns me on the budget, and that is the expanded Capitol Police role. Now, everything I've understood from the Capitol Police from the last administration was this is Nancy Pelosi's police force. So whoever's in charge of the House, that's their police force. They have expanded way beyond the Capitol. They have new offices now in Florida, in California. They are now turning into an intelligence force. Pentagon has given them things to collect intelligence on Americans. This is way beyond their scope. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust the any other police force with intelligence capabilities. No more.
Yeah, look, the rank and file officers are great guys. I talk to them all the time, coming in out of different buildings. They're wonderful guys, do the Lord's work like good local police officers do the Lord's work. But you're right, we don't need these officers around the country. We don't need this expanded surveillance, capabilities and activities. So I agree with you there. I think that's where the country is. And I would have to check with the Speaker's office, but I don't know that Speaker McCarthy is going along with that.
Well, I will tell you.
We'll have to find out.
I will tell you in the Republicans' annual appropriations bill, they have an increase of $46.3 million more than last year, which already last year was a 22% increase. That's got to stop.
Okay.
Got to stop.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that too.
Do we finally have the Congress and the Republicans that will stand and not blink on the budget?
I think so. I really do, because the spending has went up so dramatically, and we don't have to get into all the numbers, but just we're set to run a deficit of $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion this year. Like, what? So it is so out of whack. We have to spend less than we spent before. And if we can do that, take it back to lower levels, that'd be the first time in my time in Congress, maybe the first time in modern history where the next Congress didn't spend more than the previous one. If we can actually reduce spending and begin to show the country and the economy and the world that, look, okay, they're at least going to kind of rein this in and get a handle on it and begin to pay back some of this debt, get to balance at some point. If we can do that, then we'll be fine. But if we just keep the crazy stuff up that the Biden administration is doing, I worry about the dollar staying as the reserve currency, which is critical for our country, and a host of other things if we continue on this path. But I think we're going to actually get to where we're spending less after the crazy increases we've seen in the Biden administration.
So one last thing, the church committee did, the Lord's work, if you will, and tried to rein things back in, and it's gotten worse again than it was back then. Do you think that this, deep state, whatever you want to call it, the people that have no fidelity to the law or to the Constitution, can we save the Justice Department, the FBI, the intelligence community, or is it too far gone? How do you see this working?
Here's the key measure. I think this Congress that'll tell us if we can get things back in the right direction or not. And that's the FISA renewal. The 702 program of FISA is up for renewal. If that gets passed and we just keep doing the same old thing, because understand the Church Commission brought a lot of good facts to light, but the Church Commission gave us the FISA court and the FISA process. That's a problem. That has to change. That's up for reauthorization this year. If we fundamentally change that, if we get rid of this ability for them to query that database that they get, where the 3.4 million Americans had their information queried, information that was picked up when they were surveilling some foreigner, but they talked to some American and then they got the American in the death. That's the kind of stuff. If we don't change that, then I'm very worried. But I think we're going to change it. I think yesterday's hearing helped show that when you have the FBI engaged in some of the things that will be a critical test. And then, of course, as I've said now a couple times, what happens during the appropriations and the spending process. The power of the purse is important. That's the power that resides in the Congress, and specifically in the House. We need to make sure we use it.
I will tell you, I found out just the other day that this program now has a bigger footprint than Fox News does, which blew me away when somebody gave that stat to me. This is good
testimony to your good work.
No. It's the what's happening is all the mainstream media is dying, and shows like mine and others are all growing. I don't know if we could turn this corner 5 or 6 years ago, but I think if you guys just keep going, we're going to turn a corner. We're going to turn a corner because the mainstream media doesn't have the lock that they used to have.
Well said, and praise the Lord for that. And then the second thing I always say is the American people are smart people. They have common sense, and they hear common sense, and they hear good information from you and a bunch of other folks like you. that makes a huge difference. So thank you for what you're doing.
Likewise. Stay the course. Thanks.
All right. Take care, brother.
You bet. Bye-bye. Jim Jordan.